Let's talk about the top super most important number one PowerPoint features that you should totally be using. This is going to be a combination of like efficiency tips and tricks, like how to use PowerPoint to do your design in like faster ways and just like more efficient ways. It's also going to include some features that are going to help level up the design of your presentation. So it's a mix of both. These are things that I use basically every single time I'm creating a PowerPoint presentation. These are like everyday tools that I use, but these are also things that tend to surprise clients. Like when I'm working one-on-one with them, a lot of these are features that people do not know about. I'm sure you're going to know about some of these, but I also think there's going to be some new things in here that maybe you didn't know exist, or maybe you didn't really know why you should be using them. So let's get started. The first thing I really want to make sure you know about is the selection pane. So right now I'm in the Home tab, and I'm just gonna, I clicked on PowerPoint to activate it, and you can find it here by clicking this icon that says Arrange. Click that, and then selection pane is at the bottom, and it's going to open up here at the right. So let me try to expand that just so it's a little easier. Move that in a little bit. Okay, so basically the selection pane is going to show you a couple different things. First, it's going to show you every single object that you have on your slide. Each one is going to be listed here, and it's going to have a name. On this slide, all I have is I'm using a title placeholder. That's why it says title 1, because it'll give kind of like the type or the name, and then usually there is a number associated with it. PowerPoint just chooses that. I don't really pay attention to the numbers too much, but that's kind of what is going on with the selection pane. So let me just show you what happens with a few more objects. So we're going to add a shape. Let's just add a circle. I'll just click that. And let's add an icon now. Let that load. Let's scroll. What icon would I like to use in this video? I always just kind of choose like a random thing that catches my eye. How about this kid holding a balloon? Okay, so we'll move that over there. And then what else? Let's add a text box. So here is my text box. And I did choose a blank slide, but why don't I go ahead and use one that has a title placeholder. Here is my title placeholder. Okay, so we have like 4 objects on the slide: a title placeholder, a text box, an icon, and a shape. So if we close out of the icon selection area, we're back to the selection pane, and we can see 4 objects. Title 5, that's going to be this. Text box 4, that's going to be this. Graphic 3, and notice once I click on it in the selection pane, it will actually highlight the object. So that's actually going to be really helpful. And then finally, we have oval 4, the circle, or oval 1, it says. So it lets you see everything that you have on your slide. And here are the different ways that this is actually going to be really helpful. Well, for one, if you have, let's say, a lot of objects on your slide and maybe you're having trouble clicking into it, you can find it here. And I'm just using my keyboard now, the up and down arrow. You can kind of use this to like select an object if you're having trouble. And that's one way it can sort of just like help you design things a little faster, is if you select it on the selection pane and then you can move it on the slide. You can also do things like temporarily hide an object. That's what this little eye means. So if we click on that, it goes away, but it's not like you deleted it. It's not off the slide. You've just hidden it, and you can click that eye to bring it back. So this is a good way for you to like maybe test out different layouts, test out different things, see which one you like, toggle things on and off. Again, it just kind of like lets you have some control over some of the design. There's another icon here, and what it is it's like an unlocked padlock, an unlocked lock. And if you hover over it, it does tell you that too. So it's the lock function. What you can do is select an object, lock it, and it locks it in place. So now, even though I can select it, I can, change the design. I can do sort of, anything I want. I just can't move it. See, I'm clicking on it. I'm trying to move it. It's not working. And it's probably a little hard to see. I'll try to zoom in. Yeah, let me zoom in just so you can see. You know that the object is locked because these white squares normally are just like white and that's it, but they actually have like a little slash in them. I'll try to zoom in a little more so you can see. So, that kind of lets you know that the object is locked. Now, why would you care about that? It might not matter for objects, but it can be really helpful if you're trying to do something. Like, let's say you have a image and you have it kind of like taking up the slide like this, but you want to maybe add in some other objects like a text box or something like that. Well, sometimes you can like accidentally move it out of place, and that gets really annoying. And so sometimes I'll come in here and I'll lock it. So that image, it will stay in the background just how I have it. So yeah, I usually have the selection pane up and I use it in different ways like that. Now, the other thing that the selection pane shows you is what's called the layers of your object. So if you've used any type of design software like Photoshop or Affinity Designer or Illustrator, you're probably already familiar with layers, and that's what this does show you. It will show you layers and groupings and things like that. So why is that so helpful? Because when you're working on a slide like this and you have a canvas, you see everything, right? So it almost looks like everything is on the same level or on the same area, but it never really is. Watch. If I take this icon and I move it over to the circle, it's on top of the circle. And why is that? It's because I added the circle first and the icon next. So this text box, they're both the same color, so you can't really tell here, but this text box, because I added it after the icon, is actually on the top layer. It's like above this icon. And again, it of course then would be above this circle as well. So even though if you have things side by side, you can't really tell this, everything is like working in different layers. And the selection pane is actually organized in that type of order. It's organized by layer. The thing all the way at the bottom is the lowest layer. It's like the most behind, the most back layer. And then whatever is on the top is going to be the top layer, the thing that is on the top. So let me unlock this. I'm going to unlock the oval so I can move it. So look, this is actually behind the title placeholder. Even though I think I might have added this last, technically, I typed it in last. Placeholders, sometimes might work a little differently than the objects you are manually adding. They might always be kind of the top layer. And you can change this. You can change the order of layers, and you can do it in a few different ways. One of the ways you can do it is by in the selection pane, you click something and you just drag and drop it. So even though it's a placeholder, I can actually still override this, drag the oval so it's on the top layer. So that's one way. You can just like manually arrange it in the selection pane. Or what you can do is right click the object and it's over here in the options bring to front or bring forward or send to back. So I can go back to sending it all the way to the back. So I'll do that, send to back, and there you go. It's all the way at the bottom again, and we can see that it moved in the selection pane as well. Adjusting the layers so that it's more front, so that it's more back is something that's going to become relevant as you are designing more of your slides. Like you're creating custom figures, you're creating custom models and things like that. Like you're going to find that you want to rearrange those. So that's why I consider this to be such a core, important, everyday feature that I'm always using. And related to that is the feature of grouping objects together. So I'm going to duplicate this circle a few times, and let's say that together this means something. Like it's, something I've already explained, I've already added some narration to it. It's like it represents something in my PowerPoint. And I always want them to look like this, be this position, be in the spacing together. They're basically a group. And it would be really annoying if every time I want to move it around or do something, I have to click, hold on Shift on my keyboard, click, keep holding down Shift on my keyboard and click. Or still, even annoying to try to select all of them like that and then move it around. You can actually group them together. So I'll select them all like that, right click, and that's what this option here is for group. So I can group them and now they're just like one thing. So I could just move them all together. And look at what happened over here in the selection pane. it will actually create this sort of like hierarchy here. So this group is now like a new object. It's group 9. And we can see that it is made up of oval 8, oval 7, oval 1. And no, I really don't understand how PowerPoint is choosing the numbers. Like, why did we go from like 1 to 7? I guess like maybe like it's just like each object gets a number, but where did object number 2 go? And yeah, so I really don't pay attention to those numbers. But yeah, so I'll often group things like this. And then if I ever decide I don't want to group it again, I just right click and ungroup. Okay, and now they're back to just being their separate objects. In a way, I'm going to undo that so that we have our group back. In a way, they never stopped being separate objects. Like I can still come in here and double click on one of them and change the color. So I can change the fill color. I can still come in here and change the design. It's just I'm still able to keep them as a group so I can move them around very easily. Or I can even do things like now that they're a group, I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and I'm going to make that larger. Okay, that is often how I'm using grouping, is temporarily just so I can increase or decrease the size of multiple objects at once. Let me undo that. Or I don't even have to undo it. I will ungroup them and kind of show you the reason why this is helpful. Because if I leave them as separate objects and I hold down Shift on my keyboard and I go to increase it, look at what happens, right? That like spacing between them isn't there anymore. So now I'm going to have to come in here and manually fix that. So undo, undo, undo. So that is, I will do that. I will group things just to change the size while keeping that like, again, that like overall shape, that overall setup. So it's really helpful even just for a temporary purpose. I will also use grouping and ungrouping to help make some fine-tune adjustments to some of the ink replay animations that I do. Now I cover this much more extensively in another video about animations and transitions, but basically, you know, with the draw and ink play animation, we can do things like I will draw a shiny, sparkly, gold person. Yay. Let's just add some like little hair, you know, basically I'm drawing like I'm 5 years old again. Okay. And so let's say I wanted to, let me move these out of the way, and they're ungrouped. So I have to do it, to select them all. Okay. So let's say I wanted to add that ink replay animation. Now, PowerPoint is like better at this than it was when they first released this, so it might actually work out okay. Let's see. So I'm going to do ink replay. Yeah, see, so I don't know if you caught it, but I think there were some things that went a little out of order. Let me like slow it down so we can watch this. Okay, let's see if we can handle this being 10 seconds. Okay, so we've got the eyes, we've got the face, and it's circling. Okay, no, actually it did choose the right order, didn't it? Okay, so yeah, PowerPoint used to not do this super well. It used to do things like out of order. So, you know, it might actually do the circle, but then the face, and then, you know, I don't remember exactly because it actually has gotten a lot better. But what I used to have to do is things like, I'll ungroup these. I used to have to like overwrite it. So I used to have to, I'm holding down Shift on my keyboard to select these individually. Like I used to have to separate it out into different pieces. So like just the body, I would select them all and I would hit group. And then, you know, I used to have to do that. I used to have to take like one piece and then group it into like smaller sections and then just like set the order of the replay animation so that it would make sense. So it didn't happen on this video. PowerPoint actually did do it correctly, but I still wanted to kind of walk you through what to do just in case you are trying to use the ink replay and maybe you're drawing more than just like a stick figure, you are doing a little bit more of a detailed drawing, then that's when this might come in handy. So that's when this grouping feature is actually going to really help out. So I think that's pretty much it for like the selection pane and the arrange tool. I think the only thing I didn't cover is if you right click on an object and you're either in bring to front or send to back, you do have two options, like send to back or send backward, bring to front or bring forward. So the difference is really just like if it's just front, or back, that means like the most front or the most back. So the top layer, like move it all the way to the top or move it all the way to the bottom. Whereas if you're choosing send backward or bring forward, it's just going to move it up or down one. So that's the only difference. So I think that's it. So we can move on to the next thing that I want to make sure that you know about. And that's the arrange tool in PowerPoint. This is like the best feature ever. And I can't believe it. Like, I'm just going to show you. Let's just add a few objects to the slide. Okay. So you see how it's kind of messy? Well, before I knew that this was a feature, like that this was a thing that like any software could do, I would be in a situation where I'd be like, oh, I need them all to be like aligned. How do I do that? Like, how do I make sure that's done right? And I would seriously sit there and like add a line and like, okay, I'm gonna like move it, like use a line to do that and then delete the line. Okay. Like that's what I used to do. PowerPoint and other software now has like, as you're moving things, does have these like guides that do kind of pop up where you can snap it into place. So I wouldn't have to do my line trick anymore, but luckily there's actually a much better and faster way, especially if you need to do this for a lot of objects at once. And that is using the arrange tool. So what you do is you select all of them. And we can see over here in the selection pane that all are selected. I could have, just so you know, I could have actually done that in the selection pane. I just hold down Shift on my keyboard, select, or I select one, hold Shift down on my keyboard, and then click the last one. So either way, I just want you to know. So all I have to do is click this arrange icon, and we do have the bring to front, send to back options up here as well. That's how things are in PowerPoint. Like usually you can do the same thing in a few different ways. We can even see that group is here too, but we are skipping down and looking at this align feature. Check this out. I am going to click align to the top and what? Oh my God, it's all there, all aligned to the top with just one click. This alone is going to save you so much time, I promise, because it's not just aligned to the top. While I have everything selected, take a look. We have uneven spacing here, don't we? This is a smaller amount of space between the two squares versus over here. Well, we don't want that. We want things to be, let's go back to arrange, align. We want them to be distributed equally. In this case, horizontally. So I will click and there we go. Oh, look at that balance. Look how perfect that is. Yeah, arrange tool is amazing. And you can do this for like all of the positions basically. So let's go here and select them all. We can align them all to the left. And then I don't think there's enough space, but we can align them vertically. If they were smaller, it would actually be the correct amount of space. I'll just kind of, let's see if I'm going to have to zoom out so you can see. Okay, I just want to show you both horizontally and vertically. So again, arrange, align to, oops, I meant to hit left, but we can arrange to the center, which for a square is basically the same thing anyway, and distribute vertically. Yes, super amazing. So yeah, you can align, and it has icons to kind of help you remember. Like you don't always have to memorize what like align to the middle means, because like, yeah, what's the difference between align to the middle and align to the center? The icons kind of help you with that. So yeah, definitely make sure you are using this align tool. It's really simple and straightforward. And I think the only thing I might need to point out is like how PowerPoint is choosing where to align things. So it will choose based on like the most of that thing. So if I am like, you've seen me select all of these, right? Like I select all of them at once. So PowerPoint needs to know like, okay, but like, do you want to align to this one or this one or this one or this one? I don't really know. So it's just going to choose whichever one is the most top here, because we are aligning to the top. So I'll undo that, because if we were to align to the bottom, it's going to choose the most bottom. So arrange, and then align to the bottom. So that's kind of how it's choosing that. And then for the distributing one, it's just gonna assume the two end objects are like where the objects should be placed. So it's going to leave these two as the anchors and then distribute everything based on that. So just to kind of like combine this with what I've been saying, or what I was just saying, I will do things like, okay, I'll get these like all aligned. Cool. I like the way that looks, but you know what? I actually need this to be smaller. While everything is grouped already, or while everything is selected, I'm going to group. And then now I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and make that small. And I don't need it to be grouped anymore. Maybe I want each one to show up as a different animation or something, so I can't really group it. So now I can ungroup it, but it's like, it looks in that way. Just as a little pro tip, this is one way you can actually build a waffle chart. So you could do like 10 by 10. I'm not going to do it because it is a little tedious. But, you know, if a table isn't actually going to work out for you because of like sizing, sometimes you can't make the tables as small as you need to, you can kind of build your own waffle chart in this approach. And like I was saying, if you click on this arrange icon, you do have the other things that we were talking about, reordering the objects, which is just like, again, that's about the layers and changing the layers. This is where you can group things. This is where you can align things. And I do also use this rotating feature as well. So for example, like, I don't know, like let's just say I wanted to make like a cool pattern or something. You know, so maybe I would do this, maybe I would group it, and maybe I'll even change one of the colors just so we have 3. This is again, like, you know, I think I've said this before, but I do these in just kind of like an improv kind of way, just to show you the tech itself. But like, let's say I duplicate it, but I want it to like not look like I just duplicated it. Well, I'll just hop over here to the rotate icon, which now that I've clicked on a shape format, or now that I've clicked on a shape, the shape format tab has opened, and I can actually see what we've been working with as separate icons up here now. Again, just a different way to get to the same type of feature. So I can come up here and I can rotate it, and I can flip it horizontally. I could manually rotate it if I wanted to, or sometimes I might just like rotate it 90 degrees or something like that. And then now maybe I'll select both of these, and I don't know, like maybe I've just created my own kind of design. It's really fast and easy to do it. If I'm grouping and duplicating and just like rotating things, I'm just flipping them around so it doesn't look like I just hit copy and paste over and over again. Like there is some difference and some variation there. So yeah, I pretty much use this entire feature, everything under the arrange tool, almost every single time I'm putting together a PowerPoint slide. And I'm showing this on shapes, but it works with like everything, every object. It works with text boxes, it works with pictures, it works with icons. Like, you know, sometimes I don't like that the main focus of the picture is on the right, so I will, I've locked it, so I can't actually flip it. So I will unlock it in the selection pane, and now I will flip it because maybe I just want my text here. So, you know, the arrange tool can be used on just about anything you have in your slides. 10 out of 10, make sure you're using this. So let's move on to the next feature that I want to make sure that you're using. And these next couple are going to be about things that like you can do on your end, and they're about like organizing this so it's easier for you to use. The first thing I want you to know about is sections. So let's pretend we have like a bunch of slides now. I'm just going to select the slides I have and just duplicate them a bunch. Right click, duplicate. I could use a keyboard shortcut, but sometimes I think it's helpful for you to see me do it. So, okay, like let's just say, so it says we have about 25 slides. Okay, so we have like a lot of slides. I'm going to switch to the presenter view, or sorry, slide sorter view, which is where you can see all of your slides at once. And you know, it's not really a feature, it is more like a view, but you should definitely be using this view as you're working on your slides. I'm constantly going back between slide sorter view and regular editing view. So I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see. Okay, so Now that I've put this together as a mock-up, I just realized I don't think this is actually going to help make the point that I want to make. So I'm going to pull up a different slide deck. This is actually a video that I have on my YouTube channel already. It's the 6 gears of creating engaging presentations. So I'll give you a look at the back end of this. So, and this is usually like for people who have like an hour-long talk, what's going to happen, especially if you're following actual good design strategies, you're going to have a lot of slides. That whole piece of advice of as few slides as possible is trash, okay? We want lots of slides. This might look a little weird because I made this on a different computer and I have different fonts and stuff now, so this is a little old. It's a few years old, but look, I have a lot of slides. And if it all just looked like this, it'd be like kind of hard to find the part I'm looking for as I'm editing, like if I want to update it or something like that. Just as I'm working through it, this can just like, it can start feeling a little overwhelming. So take a look. It looks a little different, right? Like all of a sudden there's like blank space here and blank space here. Like what is going on? What I've done is I've added sections. So I wish I could make the text bigger. I can only make the slides bigger. But it says intro. It says gear 1 because it's about 6 gears, right? So let me go back into slide sorter view. Gear 1, gear 2, gear 3. I've broken up my presentation in sections, not just the presentation itself, like as I'm presenting it, but literally like in my view in PowerPoint. And when I do that, I can actually do things like collapse sections. And again, this is just one of those things that can actually help you navigate your own slide deck a lot faster, especially as you are using more slides, as you should be using. And you can choose how to break up your presentation any way you want, but usually you do it like by section in your presentation. So if you were doing like a normal conference presentation, one section would be intro, the next one would be method, then the next one would be results, right? And then like discussion and conclusion. So, but you do it like however makes sense for your presentation. And it's really easy to do. You can do this in either view, but I'm in slide sorter, so I'll show you how to do it here. So like, let's say let's say this picture was like the last slide in that section, and the squares is going to start the new section. So what I would do is I would right click on the first slide of the section and literally just add section, okay? And I'll call this like section 2. All right, and then right click on this one, add section 3. All right, let's just do that a few more times just so you can see section 4. And your audience is gonna have absolutely no idea that you've done this. Okay, section 5 and section 6, okay. Your audience is going to have absolutely no idea that this is happening. This is just to help you navigate your presentation much more easily. Here are some examples of how this might help. So first of all, like as you're storyboarding, as you're thinking through your presentation, you're going to have parts where you're like, oh, I don't know if this is actually going to make sense. I don't know if I should include it, or I don't know if I should include it in this audience. So that's another way you can actually break this up. Maybe it's not necessarily by section, but maybe you're kind of like, I have this like chunk. I have this like little piece. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to fit in or if it's going to fit in, but I really want to explore that. I really want to build it out and see how it goes. Well, then you can make that its own section. And when you're finished, like let's say you're like, you know what? Actually, that's going to make sense later on in the presentation. You can right click on a section and you can move it down. You right click, move it down, and you can move it to wherever it's going to make more sense. Now, the reason I'm like right clicking and moving one section at a time is because I'm on a PowerPoint for Mac. When I was on a Windows, I was able to just drag and move it to wherever I wanted, but that doesn't work on a PowerPoint for Mac. So like, it sometimes works only if you're literally dragging it to like the last section, but it doesn't work on a Mac. So if you're on a Windows, you can just like drag and drop, but if you're on a Mac, You can move it up and down. And I actually think this is new because a lot of people complain about this. I actually don't remember this being here the last time I tried to do this. So it could be I just didn't notice it. So yeah, so you can like do that. It helps you kind of like rearrange your storyboard really easily. You know, if you remember how it looked before, you can kind of see how that might be really hard to keep track of if you aren't using sections. So this is like one of the ways that I find myself storyboarding. I'm in slide sorter view, I'm creating sections, and I'm moving stuff around and seeing how it goes. Another way that I use this is I might have a whole section that's actually like a little temporary visual database. So it's just a section of slides where it's just like a lot of pictures. And I have a whole other separate video of how I use the visual database idea. So that's one way I might do it. I just like have a bunch of pictures ready to go, but it's in a separate section, so it's kind of out of the way. And usually it's either the first section or the last section. The other way that I recommend my clients use this is when they're giving like one talk, like they have like one main talk, like it's maybe the talk that they get paid to go and present, or, you know, it's like their main research topic. And so they're presenting it in like different ways. They're at a conference and then they go out to the community, right? It's like the same topic, but they do have to tailor it to the situation and to the audience. So one thing that you can do, like a lot of people will sit there making 6 different versions of their presentation, right? Like, is that what you're doing? Because like I used to do it and like I swear like every client does this. They'll have like one that's like the 45-minute version and one that's the 60-minute version and one that's the 15-minute version. And then they'll have one that's for the academics or the people in their own field. And then one that might be more for the community. Like, stop, like, what are you doing? That's going to make it so hard for you to just like update it. Because then you have to like update it in one presentation. And if it is a slide that's in all of them, you're going to have to like update every single file. Like that is madness. Like we do not want to be doing that. Just use sections. So like, let's say you have this section here and it's like method version A, and it's like the long one. It's the one where you can take 20 minutes to talk about it. And then here you have method B, and it's the short one, or it's the one for people who like don't care about your method. They just want to hear about the results. So you can use sections to actually help you have different versions of your presentation all within one file. Because that leads me to the second feature I need to make sure everybody out here knows and is using, which is hiding slides. So kind of going along with our example, let's say this is method A. I'll even rename it just so I don't forget. Method A, long. And then rename method B, short. Okay. So let's say it's time for you to do method A. We are going to select all of these, right click, hide slide. And we can tell that the slide is hidden because it's kind of like, it's a little like grayed out. And there is this icon of like, you know, the circle with the line, the like no icon. Now all of the slides are the same. So let me just do something real quick. I'm going to go back into editing mode over here. And again, you know, we can see the section names up here in our thumbnail view. We can see it here. And it's the same thing. We can see which slides are hidden. So I'm going to select them all. And I don't know if I could do this actually. Can I just change the background of all of them at once? I don't know. Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. All right. So like it's this like purple background, right? We've hidden them. So let me go over here to present. Again, this is like method A, right? So like, oh, method A, see, we like drew a stick figure and like, it was super fun. Like that's our method, right? And then click, and then like, you know, it ended up like impressing the hamster or something. Okay. Obviously this is made up and it's not a very good made up story, but then this is supposed to be the end of the section. So I'm going to right click and look, no purple. So I don't know if that's making the most sense in the world, but like, right? This was the example that I gave you. I did this and then I clicked and it didn't show us anything purple. It skipped this entire section and came to here. So that's basically what happens. When you hide a slide, it stays in your PowerPoint file, but it's not presented to the audience. The only catch The one thing I do need you to be aware of is if you click on a slide that is hidden and then go into presenter view, you are manually overwriting the fact that it's a hidden slide. And if you continue to click, it will show those hidden slides. So you just want to be careful that like your first slide in the PowerPoint file, like make sure that that's not a hidden slide, because then you can kind of like, oops, find yourself in trouble. But as long as the first slide you click into before you go into presenter mode is like an active normal slide, you'll be fine. It will not show those purple slides. So yeah, this is how, and this is why sometimes people do see my presentations and they are like, okay, that is like too many slides. But part of it is because I'm actually doing this. It's all in one file, but it's not necessarily all presented all at once in the same situation. But yeah, hopefully you're seeing how it's like, this is actually going to streamline things quite a bit. So let's move on and talk about something that isn't necessarily about design, but it is kind of more like this logistics type of thing. Let's say you spend time creating some type of like custom design, custom scene with like shapes or icons or something like that. So I don't know, let's just like grab this icon and I don't know, I guess maybe all of this kind of feels like balloons. I did just make a video about balloons. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend it, but that could be why it's kind of on my mind a little bit. So I don't know, like maybe there's just some type of cool, this is relevant to a presentation. Let's just go with that, right? Okay, well, let's say you really like this and you actually want to use it in different ways. Like maybe you want to use it in like a custom handout or a social media graphic or on your website or in your emails or just like anything. You can actually select all of this, right click, and save as a picture. Now, it's not going to be the highest quality and, maybe it's different on a Mac or maybe it's different on a Windows, but on a Mac, I can't really change anything. Like even if I make it a JPEG, which we want to keep it as a PNG anyway. So, I can't like control the quality of it, but let's just like save it in the desktop. And then let's take a look. So here it is, but it is kind of like better than nothing in a lot of cases. And it is going to have a transparent background, which is really nice. So again, you can use this to like create something in PowerPoint and then use it somewhere else. Another way I will use this is kind of like what I was saying with like how sometimes I'll group things temporarily to change the size and then ungroup it later. Well, sometimes I kind of use this saving as a picture feature to do that with scenes that I build, like with icons or illustrations or shapes. Because now, or let me show you, because again, if we just select everything and try to change the size, it doesn't really work right. It's not like keeping the same picture. So we could, group it, hold down Shift and bring it down, and that does work. And so does saving it as a picture. And in a way, it's a little easier because I don't really have to worry about grouping anything. So it's kind of like just a different way to get to a similar effect. Now, one thing that is a little different is when we leave things as objects, like within PowerPoint, as editable objects, like once I can still click on each one, I can still ungroup them, it's still objects in PowerPoint. Notice how you can actually see more of the outline still. Whereas with the picture, the outlines are just kind of like as like the original thickness, like that doesn't really change. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, and sometimes that is when I might choose one or the other. It's like this one is like a little more responsive in a way, whereas this one is more static, I guess. And going along these same lines, let me just show you as well. Like let's say you go through, you like design a slide, you really like the slide, and you want to repeat that slide in your presentation as well. For example, you want to do things like, hey, remember when we talked about this slide, right? And you want to like bring that back up to people's memory. Well, you can kind of do that with a slide too. You just click on the thumbnail over here, like over here on the left, and you copy it. And then you click into another slide. I'll just go into this one, and you don't paste it. right? I just pasted on my keyboard and that inserted the same slide. We don't want to do that. You want to copy it, go into the other slide, and you actually want to hit that down arrow next to paste and paste as a picture. And now you have a slide you created before, but it is a picture. So you can adjust the size, you can add an outline. And again, you will see me do this a lot in my YouTube videos. And I always do it as like hey, remember when we talked about this thing? Now I'm going to build on it. I'm going to add more nuance or whatever it is. All right, powering through, just a few more things I definitely need you to know about. And for these next ones, I'm not going to have to go into too much detail because I have a video where I do actually go into more detail. So this is kind of just like a recap, refresher, or letting you know about this and that those other videos exist. Okay, so the first thing you have to know about, like absolutely must, you cannot be making slides unless you know about this tool, is, I'm going to double click this picture, the crop tool. Okay, I got like a whole video, literally a whole video where I talk about the cropping tool. You need to be using the cropping tool if you're using pictures, because we can't have you out there changing the size of pictures and distorting them. Absolutely not. That is not acceptable. So you have to be using crop. All right, let's undo that. I can't leave the cute hamster squished. Okay. The other thing is, well, it's kind of like what I've been doing. I've been using shapes and icons. And so those are the other features of PowerPoint that it's really important to know about. So if you go to insert, you can see the options for adding in shapes and icons. And chances are you probably already do know about like squares and circles and maybe even the block arrows. But it's also really important to know about things like how to use the brackets and to adjust those so that they look a little more custom, look a little better than maybe just the default options. And then same thing with arrows. It's really important that you know about if you add an arrow and then click it and go to shape outline and hover over arrows, like it does take a little while to get there. But if you hover there and you click on more arrows, the important thing that I want to mention in this video is it's just really good to know that you can customize this, that you can customize the size of the arrowheads, the style, more than if you're just using these drop-down menus. So I just really want you to make sure that you know about these additional settings and to experiment with those and to test those out. The other thing I do want to make sure you know about, even with these like basic shapes that you've been using before, is that you can actually right click them and then click edit points. And then you can like literally change the shape to whatever you want. And I'm going to zoom in a little more. And let's see if I can reactivate that. Where did it go? All right. Right click, edit points. And then you actually can like see I'm swooshing this, I don't know what it's called. I'm swooshing the line, right? So you can like even add in lines. So you can actually get in here and make really unique shapes. And then again, this is like a speed run because I kind of go a little slower in the other videos where I talk about it. But let's add an icon. Again, even if you're adding in icons, you might not know that you can right click an icon, convert it to a shape, which lets you separate pieces of the icon. So I just really want to make sure people know about that, because you might have seen that I have a video talking about shapes and icons and you're like, oh, that sounds really boring. Like what could possibly be interesting? Well, I go a little bit slower covering that, but if that was all you need, then there you go. Take that and run with it. And kind of along those same lines, I really want you to be using and to know about animations and some transitions. So let's zoom out here, and I don't actually want it to be this slide, or I'll just click onto the slide actually, but let's zoom out so I can see everything, right? Like, you know, I want to make sure that you know about how to like add the appear animation, how like what these are, the emphasis animations, exit animations, and how to customize things, how to customize like when they show up, how many clicks that you use, being able to delay them. And I have a whole video where I covered that, and I covered the transition that I recommend, which I'm going to actually just show you in this video real quick. Because again, I just kind of want to like let you know there's some cool stuff waiting for you there. So let me just I actually want to remove this animation. Let's get rid of that. Animation pane, goodbye, goodbye. I do think a lot of people know about appear animation, so I'm not really going to talk about it in this video, but okay. So I'm going to make a few changes to this. Make this purple. Okay. And then it's going to show you a preview of what the morph transition is going to do. So I'll click and make sure you watch. And there you go. And I don't know why anything happened there, but oops. Let me just click this original one so you can watch it in real time. Let's click and watch it. So the morph transition morphs things from one slide into the next. So yeah, make sure you know about the morph transition. And again, in that video, I kind of like talk a little bit more and show you some more examples. And then I also show you that ink replay animation as well. So you can, again, just like have cool drawings in your presentation. Like maybe you're not drawing stick figures or something like that, but like, let's just say you want to like circle something to emphasize it, or you just want to like have an arrow point to it. Well, you can come in here, go to animations, click that ink replay and add it that way. But yeah, like the basics of animations and even transitions are super important. And every time I'm working with a PowerPoint presentation or any presentation, I am using some form of animation. And that is what I teach. And it is what my clients use. Animations have a bad reputation, but honestly, it's kind of just like PowerPoint. Like PowerPoint has a bad reputation, but you can make beautiful slides in PowerPoint. It's all I use. You can see it in my YouTube channel, my other videos. It's just people aren't using them correctly. So if you use them correctly, animations can truly make the difference with your presentation. It can actually make it more engaging. It can make it more accessible. It can make it more impressive. So please, please, please be learning these basics of animations. So that's it. We have completed our mega roundup. If you stayed and watched this whole thing, that is so exciting. Thank you. And hopefully you learned some things about PowerPoint that you didn't really think of before. You learned some new features, or you learned about how to use those features in more helpful ways. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions about PowerPoint or have ideas for videos, like always post them in the comments below. Like, you know, I'm always interested in making videos that people are curious about. And what I do is that I use my YouTube channel as a chance to post tech videos, especially about PowerPoint, just because I want everybody to feel comfortable with the tech side of things. I want everybody to feel comfortable with PowerPoint, especially if that's what they want to use. And the strategy is inside my presentation skills masterclass. Now, this video was a little different because I did actually share some little pieces of strategy along the way, you know, things like, how would you actually use this? How would you actually use this feature to make your presentation more engaging, easier to follow along with, stuff like that. But really, that's in my presentation skills masterclass. I don't really do a lot of that on YouTube. And my presentation skills masterclass is pretty software neutral. I want people to be able to learn from this and to create engaging presentations regardless of what software they are using. But chances are, if you watch this video, you probably are using PowerPoint. So it's packed full of the strategy of design skills, data visualization skills, storytelling skills, how to captivate your audience, how to create accessible presentations that are friendly to people's like working memory, stuff like that. Like that's in my masterclass. I do also offer one-on-one consultation calls. So if you want some like one-on-one training in PowerPoint or just how to design engaging presentations, accessible presentations, professional presentations, we can do that one-on-one. I do also have design services and I can help with more than just presentations. Really, I'm interested and I specialize in design for communication. So that can include reports and infographics and social media graphics and videos and comics and all sorts of cool things. If we're using design and if we're trying to be creative, I can help you. My services do change from time to time, but check out the link below for the most updated information and available services. Thanks again so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye now.